Part 6, Butterflies. One day every soul will fly out of this earthly life, like a butterfly flies out of its cocoon. That is nature, and nothing can stop that. Welcome back to part 6. Before we begin to crochet, we need to put in some stitch markers. We're going to be turning the circle into a square, so we have to determine where these corners are going to be. So to do that, we're going to need 2 markers in one color for step 1 and 4 markers in a different color for step 2. So the first step, we're going to lay our work flat out on a surface in a way so that we can join, or we can see where these joining parts of yin and yang meet up. Straight line going through both of those joining parts. So yin is slightly over to the right side, yang is slightly over to the left side. So once we have this straight line going through those 2 joining points, we want to place a marker in the top chain 1 space where this line, the ruler or whatever straight edge you're using, meets the edge of our work. And then same thing, we'll put a marker in the bottom. Then we want to count our stitches. There should be 119 chain 1 spaces between those chain 1 spaces that are marked with the 2 markers. Okay, so here I have mine laid out, my straight edge going from that top join through to where the bottom join is. I've gone ahead and placed markers in those chain 1 spaces that lined up with my straight edge. Now we want to count all of these chain 1 spaces to see if we have 119 between the top and the bottom stitches on both sides to make sure that we have it accurately centered. So once you finish counting, you need to move the marker only if you did not reach 119 chain 1 spaces on either side of the markers. So from these 2 markers, so I'm starting at the top marker for step 2, we want to count 30 chain 1 spaces and place a different colored marker in that 30th chain space. So there'll be 29 free chain 1 spaces between. Likewise, you'll go on the other side of that marker, count the 30th chain 1 space to place that matching color marker. And you'll do the same from the bottom marker. So for my top marker, I have 29 free chain 1 spaces before that green marker, and on the other side, 29 free spaces. I've done that the same at the bottom marker. And then to double check this, between the green markers, there should be 59 unworked chain 1 spaces. And then you just want to double check again, putting a straight line through the centers of both the yin and the yang to make sure that that lines up straight. If it is, then we can proceed. If not, you want to recheck your markers and make sure it's straightened up. And then you can go ahead and remove those first 2 markers. On mine, it's my blue marker. Round 43, we're going to be using color F for this round. We are going to be working some stitches in, or for the butterflies that we're going to make in these corners is made in the Tunisian crochet technique. You can use the same hook that you've been using throughout. Mine's a little bit of a short shaft, so for the video purposes, I've just switched to a straighter hook so that I can spread some of my loops out more, that you can see that more clearly on the video, but you should be able to use your regular hook. You don't need a specific Tunisian crochet hook for this. So we're going to start in any of our chain one spaces. That's where we still have the markers. Mine were green. So we're going to start with a single crochet in that marked chain one space. Then we'll chain 23. 2, 3, 4. These chains you want fairly loose, but not sloppy. (19, 20, 1, 2, and 3). So 23 chains. We're going to now be working down the chains, those first 8 chains, counting from the hook. We'll skip the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to work on the back side. So in this third 1, 2, 3 back bump, I'm inserting my hook. So that's the third loop of the chain, or on the back side it's sort of a raised loop, a little bit of a bump that we insert our hook into. So this first stitch is a half double crochet. Skip those 2, and in the third back bump we insert our hook, pull up our loop to finish our half double crochet. We'll place a single crochet in that same loop. And then starting with this next back bump, we will do a slip stitch in each of the next 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 slip stitches made in that back bump, or the third loop of the chain. So that's the first antenna. From there, we're going to chain 8 to start the second antenna of our butterfly. So that's 2, 3, 7, and 8 chains. And again, working on the back side, we'll make a half double crochet in the third chain from our hook. 1, 2, 3. So half double crochet and a single crochet in that third chain from our hook, working in the back bump or the third loop. Slip stitch in that third loop of each of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. My sparkly yarn there sometimes catches, so that's why you'll see me occasionally have to tug a bit more. So we're going to continue down the rest of that starting chain 23 that we started working on. I'm just going to make sure mine's twisted or not twisted. So my first antenna, we worked the second antenna, and then we're going to go to that next chain past the first antenna, and we're going to be working the Tunisian simple stitch. Now I'm going to show you carefully here how to do it. There is also a written tutorial in the pattern if you're new to Tunisian crochet and want a little bit extra help. So basically what we do is we pick up several loops and carry them on our hook before taking them off the hook. So that's called a forward pass and a return pass. So starting with this first chain past the first antenna, we will pick up a loop. So we insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, and leave that loop on our hook. And we'll do that in each of the 15 stitches. So that was 1, 2. Now we had a loop on our hook already, so there's 3 stitches on my hook. I'm just going to count to 15 right now, starting with that first Tunisian loop we picked up. So this is my third one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14, and 15. So at this point we should have 16 loops on our hook. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16 loops still on our hook. Now it's okay if yours are bunched up closer on your hook, depending on what yours looks like. Now, if you're used to Tunisian crochet, often we'll make a chain 1 at this point before taking off these loops. For this particular pattern, we're not going to do that, so just follow what I'm doing here. We will yarn over and pull through 2 loops. We'll do that 15 times. Yarn over, pull through the loop, and the next loop on our hook. 1, 2 loops. That's twice, 3 times. 4, 5, 13, 14, and 15. So now we're going to work our way back down this butterfly, making slip stitches. So we can see how we have these loops that we took off. And so that front part of that loop, we call that the vertical bar. We'll insert our hook under that, yarn over, pull through and through the loop on our hook for a slip stitch. We'll do that 15 times. So that was 1, 2, 13, and 14. We want one more. This last one can be a bit hard to find, but it's that outer front loop for 15 slip stitches. And then coming back down to row 42, we want to place a single crochet in the same corner chain 1 space where we started. And we can go ahead and remove that stitch marker. So now we're going to be doing a series of different numbers of chains and single crochets and so on, repeated a certain number of times. If you wish to use stitch markers to help you with your counting on this part, you can. I'm not going to at this point. It's only for help for counting. So first of all, we're going to chain 7, 6, and 7. Skip these next 2 chain 1 spaces and single crochet in the next. We'll do that 4 times. Chain 7, skip 2 chain spaces, single crochet in the next. That's 2, chain 7, skip 2, single in the next for 3 times, chain 7, skip 2, single crochet in the next for 4 times. Now we're going to chain 6. That's 4, 5, and 6. skip 2, single crochet in the next, and again we'll do that 4 times. Chain 6, skip 2, single in the next. That's twice. Four times of chain 6, skip 2, single in the next. Now we'll chain 5, skip 2, single crochet in the next, and again we'll do that 4 times. That's twice. Three times. 4 times. So we did 4 with chain 7, 4 with chain 6, 4 with chain 5. Now we'll chain 6 again. Skip 2, single in the next. And again, we'll do that 4 times. That was once. Twice. Three times. And 4 times. Then we'll chain 7 again. Skip 2, single in the next, and we'll do this 3 times. Chain 7, skip 2, single in the next for twice, three times. We'll do one more chain 7, and then we've reached that next corner space. We'll work that starting part of the butterfly again. So that's one full repeat. I've worked with you the butterfly and all those chains and single crochet down this side. So we're skipping these last 2 spaces, starting the repeat again. In this next marked stitch, we place a single crochet, chain 23. So 23 chains. Remember, we're going to work in those back bumps, skipping the first 2. In the 3rd back bump from our hook, we'll place a half double crochet and a single crochet. Then slip stitch in each of the next 5 3rd back loop, or the 3rd loop of these chains. That's 3, 4, and 5. That's the first antenna. Chain 8, working on the back of that chain in the 3rd from the hook, in that back bump, half double crochet, single crochet, slip stitch in the back bump of each of the next 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then coming back to our starting chain, insert in that next chain to pull up a loop, and in each of the following, so it'll be 15 loops we pull up. It's 2, 3, 14, and 15, oops, there we go, 15. So we started with 1 loop on our hook, so there's 16 loops on our hook right now. Yarn over pull through 2 loops, and repeat until we have 1 loop left on our hook. And then working that front part, that vertical bar of each loop, we will make a slip stitch. So insert under that vertical bar, yarn over, pull through, and through the loop on our hook. That's 2, 3, 13, there's 14. Remember, this last one's a bit harder to see, and 15. Then we'll single crochet back in that same chain 1 space, remove our marker, and then we're ready to start those chains and single crochets again. So you can go ahead working that all the way around, and I'll join you just at the end of the round. So when you've worked all the way around, you will join to our starting single crochet after our last chain 7. Then you can go ahead and fasten off. So now you can make a choice on the colors for your butterfly. It is written to have one of our darker shades on the bottom part of the butterfly and a lighter shade on the top. If you prefer them to be in the same color range, you can choose to use color C for this round. I will be using my color G as stated in the pattern. So we're going to find one of our butterflies, and the very first chain 7 space just after the butterfly is where we'll start. And we're going to look at the double crochet of round 42 under that chain 7, and we want to take the middle or the second of those doubles. So in that double crochet, we're going to place a single crochet, working in front of the chain space. Single crochet in that center double of round 42 in front of the chain 7. We'll chain 7, skip the next 2 double crochet, single crochet in that next double crochet. So we'll chain 7, skip those 2 doubles, single crochet in that next middle double crochet, and we'll do that one more time. So at this point, we should have those 3 chain 7s. So now after the single crochet, we're going to chain 6, skip 2, single crochet in that next double crochet, and we'll do that 4 times. So that's 1 chain 6, skip 2 doubles, single crochet in the next, that's twice, three times, 4 times. So this single crochet is the start of the next section of repeats. So the single crochet, then we chain 5, skip 2. So that's once, we'll do that 4 times as well. Single crochet, chain 5, skip 2, that's twice, three times, 4 times, single crochet in the next, chain 6, skip 2, and again we'll do that 4 times. Single crochet, chain 6, skip 2 for twice, three times, that's 4 times. Then we'll single crochet in that next double, chain 7, skip 2, and we'll do that 5 times. Single crochet in the next double, chain 7, skip 2, that's twice, three times, four times, so we want to keep the butterfly to the front right now. We'll place the single crochet in this next, so we're skipping 2, single crochet in that next center one, that butterfly flop to the front. So this last chain 7 we made is our new corner space, so we want to take our marker and put it into that chain 7 behind the antennae. Okay, and then we'll just repeat that, working all the way around. So you can go ahead and do that now, and I'll join you just at the end of the round. Again, as you've worked your way around, we have the single crochet in front of that last chain before our last antenna. But we want this chain we just made, or we want the antenna to come in front, and this chain goes around the back of the antenna, joining to our starting single crochet, and you can go ahead and fasten off. Round 45 using color G or your C if that's what you chose for last round. We want to start behind any of the antenna in that chain 7 space where we have put our marker for the corners. So we'll single crochet in that space, and then we can move our marker to this single crochet. Chain 3, and then working on the butterfly body, we want to count up to the 6th chain stitch. So this is my single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and we'll work a back loop only slip stitch. Chain 4, then we want to turn, so we're looking at the back side. So this is the chain we just made and the back side of the body of the butterfly. So now we want to slip stitch in this next chain that's before where we joined last time, but we want to work in front, which is really, when we're working wrong side, we're working behind that chain 3, and make a front loop only slip stitch in that chain. So here's the loop of that chain. My hook is on the right side of the chain 3, And then we turn back to the right side. And that first chain is to the back of our work. And then in this chain 4 space that we had just made, we're going to place a slip stitch in there. Chain 5 loosely. Now we're going to, from this point, continue working in Tunisian crochet. So just for the purpose of the video, I'm changing my hook out. So I have a bit more space to show the loops clearly for the video. So in this 5th chain, or in this chain 5 we just made, working on the back side of that chain again. No, we're skipping that first chain, and in the back loop, that 3rd back bump of each of the next 4, we'll pull up a loop. Now I'm just going to shorten the loop that's on my hook a bit. Skip the first chain, insert in the back loop, the back bump, that 3rd loop, and pull up a loop in 4 chains. So I've done 2, 3, and 4. So there's 5 loops on my hook at this part. Go back into this chain 4 space, insert and pull up a loop. So now we have 6 loops on our hook. And then we're going to work the return pass of that. So yarn over and pull through 2 loops 5 times. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so not using this first loop here, but starting in the next one, we're going to insert our hook, pull up a loop, we'll do that 4 times. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to skip this last one, which was kind of hidden or hard to find anyways. Insert in that chain 4 space again to pull up a loop. So there should be 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 5 times. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that was the second row of this Tunisian simple stitch. We want to do 4 more. So I'll work them all with you. So this is the butterfly row 3. Insert in that, not the loop where our loop is on, but in that next vertical loop 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the chain 4 space, pull up a loop, 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 5 times. That's twice, 3, 4, and 5. Row 4, repeat. 2, 3, and 4. Into the chain space, 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that was row 4, row 5, and row 6. So we want to chain 1, skipping that first edge loop. In the next loop, insert under the loop, pull up a loop and through the loop on our hook. So that's making a slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slip stitch again in that chain 4 space. Chain 4. So now we just want to rotate our work about 90 degrees. So kind of turn it to the side here. So we're going to be working the butterfly wing on this other side here. So with the antenna in front, we want to find that 4th slip stitch from the bottom of the body. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's my single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we want to insert in the back loop of that slip stitch and the bump that's on the back. So work your hook through both of those. That will help it be more secure. And that's a slip stitch we're making. Chain 4. Now we'll turn this piece so we're looking at the back or the wrong side. And then in the 5th stitch from the bottom, we'll have that back bump and the front loop of that slip stitch. We'll make a slip stitch through there. And then we'll turn back to the right side so we can see that chain 4 loop that we just had. And now this is the same as the previous wing. We slip stitch into that chain 4 loop, chain 5 loosely. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then turning that chain to the back, we'll skip the first chain, and in the remaining 4, insert in that back bump to pull up a loop. 1, 2, 3, that one was a bit hidden for me, and 4. So there's 5 loops on our hook at this point. Work into that chain 4 space to pull up another loop. So 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 5 times. We want to make 5 more rows of that. So insert hook under that next vertical loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. 4 times, so there's now the 5 loops on the hook into that chain 4 space for our 6th loop, yarn over, pull through 2 5 times. So that was row 2. We want to do 4 more rows. That's row 3. Row 4. Row 5. And row 6. chain 1, insert under that next loop, pull up a loop and through the loop on our hook for that slip stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slip stitch in that chain 4 space. Chain 3. So now we want to turn to look at that wrong side again, and in that marked single crochet we want to slip stitch in that marked stitch. Get that tail out of the way, slip stitch in that marked single crochet. And we'll turn our work back to the right side. You can see how we have made our first butterfly, or the first set of wings on our butterfly rather. So we'll chain 7, working along the chains of row 44 last round. In this next chain we will single crochet. We'll do that 4 times. Chain 7, single crochet in the next chain 7 space. So it's twice. Three, and 4. Then chain 6, single crochet in the next chain space, and again we'll do that 4 times. Chain 6, single crochet in next space, that's twice. Three times. 4 times. Then we'll chain 5, single crochet in the next space. We'll do that 4 times as well. Chain 5, single crochet in the next space for twice. Three times. And 4 times. Chain 6 again. Single crochet in the next space, and we'll do that 4 times. Chain 6, single crochet, that's twice. Three times. Four times. Chain 7 now, single crochet in the next space. We'll do that 3 times. Chain 7, single in the next chain space for twice. Three times. Chain 7 once more, and then working behind the body of the butterfly, we're ready to start the repeat again with a single crochet in that chain 7 space behind the butterfly. Place your marker And then you're ready to continue working those wings as we did the first time. So you'll work that repeat all the way around, joining to that starting single crochet behind that first butterfly and fastening off. Round 46, we're using color F again. We're going to start just past any of the butterfly in chain 7. However, I just want to show you on the side here, we're going to be working this round into these chain spaces of round 53. We want to pull those chain spaces to the front, so it's sort of in between round 44 and 45 chain spaces. And we'll be working in front of round 45 into those round 43 chains. So if we look here, this is last round, round 45, chain 7. So I want to find that round 43. So it's also worked in the color F, so it's the matching color, pulling it through those 2 chains. So we're in front of last round. So in that space, just past the butterfly, we're going to make a single crochet. And then 4 times we will chain 7, single crochet in the next round 43 chain space, pulling it in front of round 45. So that's once, chain 7, the next chain space of round 43, pull to the front, single crochet twice. Three times, and 4 times. And then chain 6, single crochet in the next chain space 4 times. Chain 6, single crochet in that next chain space of round 43. That's once. Twice. Three times. 4 times. And you can double check. 4 chain 7s, 4 chain 6. Chain 5, single crochet in the next 4 times. That's 3, 4, 5 chains, single crochet for once. I'll need to remove that stitch marker yet, that doesn't need to be there. So it's 3 times. 4 times. Then we will chain 6, single crochet in the next 4 times, chain 7, single crochet in the next 3 times, and I'll join you at that spot. So 4 chain 7, 4 chain 6, 4 chain 5, 4 chain 6, 3 chain 7. We'll need to chain 7 once more, and you can see how we're right before this next butterfly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7, and then we're ready to begin that repeat over. So we keep the butterfly in front, finding this next chain 7 of round 43, single crochet, and so on. So our final chain 7 of the repeat goes behind our butterfly. So again, you can work that all the way around, joining to our starting single crochet and fastening off at the end of the round. So a pretty lacy or netting type effect is being created on these rounds. Round 47, we're using color B. We're going to continue working at these chains or mesh design. So we want to start after any butterfly. We're going to be working into the round 45 stitches, working behind round 46 or last round. So in that first chain 7, just past a butterfly, we will join our yarn with a single crochet, and then 4 times we will work chain 7, single crochet in that next chain. So we'll do that 4 times. That's twice. Three times. Four times. Then chain 6, single crochet in that next space of round 45. That's once. We'll do that 4 times. Twice. Three times. 4 times. Then chain 5. And again, we'll do that 4 times. Oh, single crochet in the next space. We'll do that 4 times. Twice. 3 times. And 4 times. So we should have 4 chain 7 loops, 4 chain 6 loops, and 4 chain 5 loops. Then we'll repeat chain 6, single crochet 4 times, chain 7, single crochet 3 times. So I finished the side with 4 times of chain 6 single crochet, 3 times chain 7 single crochet, 1 more chain 7, which goes behind the butterfly, goes out of the way, and then single crochet in that next chain loop and start our repeats again. So again, we'll work that all the way around, joining to our starting stitch, fastening off at the end of the round. Before we begin round 48, it's a good idea to sew in your ends from this part, particularly in the corners behind the butterfly. We need to do some anchoring stitches there, and any tail ends will be in our way. So go ahead and sew in your ends thus far. Round 48, we're going to be working this edging around the butterflies and continuing to work on that chain mesh and attaching them to the main piece of the blanket. You will notice there's a comment in the written pattern that the designer worked it one way, which was quite difficult to make into a written pattern and to duplicate. So changes have been made to make it a bit easier. So the finished might look a bit different than the designer's photos, but there's examples of that in the written pattern as well. Now, the main thing to keep in mind is the written pattern is there as a guideline. It doesn't, in the end, when we attach it, particularly these bottom tips, it doesn't particularly matter. So if you wish to try it in a slightly different manner, that is your way. What will matter is the chains we work behind and how many counts there are there, and that the butterfly isn't distorted. Working around the butterfly, you'll want to have the same similar stitches. It's just where you actually attach them could vary a little bit. So my version of this is what I'm going to be showing you. It should be fairly similar to what you find in the written pattern, but let's just work our way through this now. You will want to have some stitch markers handy to mark some of our stitches. So the first ones that I'm going to show you, we're going to use some yellow stitch markers. Those are the ones that are shown in the written pattern. We're going to be attaching this outer bottom tip of both wings to a single crochet. So it's going to be this single crochet right here, the round 45. So for my colors, so you can easily see 47 was pink, 46 was the purple, 46 was this dark purple, 45 is the purple. So it's this stitch here. Now on the written pattern, you will see it marked from the back side. I find it's easier to identify from the right side like this, and you can always see that stitch marker at the back as well. Okay, but I'll be showing you how to do all this. So for right now, we're going to be attaching to those single crochet. We're also going to be working some of our stitches on this bottom edge of the wing around this of the same row, that same 45, or sorry, yeah, the 45 chain space. Okay, so I'm going to put a marker in there from the back, and we'll be working in the part of the chain that's towards the butterfly from where we attached the single crochet last round. And then I want to pull that sort of to the right side as well. So again, on the other side of the butterfly, it's this part here of the chain 7. There. So again, you can mark it from the back side. You can see the placement then by that single. And for right now, I'm just going to move it to the right side. And then the next thing we want to identify is behind the butterfly. We have the round 47, nope, the round 46, my darker round, that chain 7 spot there. Now, when I first went to work this, I had sewn in some of my ends so that they're not in the way as I'm chaining this, but I kind of worked through the chains a little bit and it made it too difficult. So I pulled that out again so that it was easier to see this complete chain 7 behind the butterfly. So you might just want to check that now if you have those chain 7s loose and not attached and sewing in any ends. Okay, now I've also switched to an aluminum hook here. It is the same size as I was using. I just think you're going to be able to see it better. I've also have some difficulty with my hands and arms lately, so I've changed out the hook I'm using to help with that. So just a reminder to be gentle with yourself in all this crocheting, that you take rests and stretch out your muscles. So it's the same size of hook. It might alter my stitches just a little bit, but I think you'll be able to see much better on the video by using this hook because the colors are a bit dark. So round 48 then, using color E. So to start we're going to work into this chain 7 that's behind the butterfly. We want to make sure that chain 7 of round 46 is pulled behind the round 47. Single crochet in that chain 7, but with the round 47 chain in front. We want to add a stitch marker to the single crochet for future reference. Chain 2. Now we're going to turn our work counterclockwise, and left-handers, you will have to sort this out which way you need to turn to be similar. I'm working on the bottom wing, the bottom edge of the wing. So I turned it almost that our piece, it's still right side facing, but kind of with the top side pointed down. So in this butterfly, we have worked some, these were our starting chains that we came down and then worked alongside. So in that first one that was actually made into this chain 4, we want to insert our hook. If you need to grab a smaller hook to find that slip stitch, you go ahead just to find the hole and then use your regular sized hook. We'll place a single crochet in that. Then working in these next 3 chains, we're going to place single crochet, but our hook needs to also go under where that green marker is. So we want to keep that round 47 free of this section here and find that chain 7. Make sure I've got my correct yarn tail. Okay, so I'm in the stitch and my hook's under this chain 7 that's marked with that green marker. And you'll notice we're on the inside or towards the butterfly side of that single crochet. Single crochet. We'll do that 2 more times in each of those next. Including that chain. So that's 3 single crochet. Then in this next chain, still around that chain 7, 2 single crochet. Okay, so we've worked single crochet, they're worked around that marked chain 7 on the bottom side of the wing. At this point you can remove that green stitch marker that marked that chain 7 space. Chain 2. So this next step is where we attach the tip of the wing to that single crochet that we marked. And again, we want it to be that marked single crochet. I'm choosing to keep the round 46 higher, so I'm kind of working in front of round 46 and 47 to place a front post slip stitch around that marked single crochet. And we can remove that yellow marker. Chain 1. Okay, so now we want to turn our work so that we can work across this side here. So across the edges of our Tunisian crochet rows of the wing. Okay, there was a chain one that we made that's almost hard to see. We're skipping that. We're going to be working into the edge under those 2 loops of that first row of our Tunisian slip stitches. In that edge stitch, we're going to place a double crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet, chain 2. In the next row edge, 2 double crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the next row, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the next, chain 2, single crochet in the next, chain 2. And then we'll work 2 double crochet in this last row of TSS in that edge there. Then we'll turn or rotate our work again. So we're going to work across the top of this wing now. Chain 1, placing working around the stem or the post of that double crochet we just made. We're going to work 2 single crochet. And then single crochet in that chain 1 space. Single crochet in each of the next 5 slip stitches. So it's working into what is called the bind off row of the Tunisian crochet. So that's 2, 3, 4, and this last one's a bit tricky, 5. And then in this chain 4 space where we worked those rows of Tunisian crochet, we're going to place another single crochet, but we want to be careful that we do not include that chain 3 that is right at that same spot. Okay, so I'm just going to pause for a minute, set my work down, and you can see how we've worked this edging around the butterfly and attached this tip to the main part of the blanket. So now we want to start working on the next wing. So we're going to chain 2, and that chain 2 will go behind the butterfly. So I've just moved that to the front so that the chain 2 can lay behind. We want to single crochet in the chain 4 space where we started this wing. And single crochet in that first slip stitch that was made. Now mine is quite tight, so I'm just going to use a hook that has a sharper point. To insert and pull up my loop for that single crochet, and then I'll switch back to my hook. And then in each of these next 3 chain stitches, we'll place a single crochet. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And in the next chain stitch, we're going to place 2 single crochet. Okay, and again, we're going to skip that next chain, which is almost invisible. Turning our work again, or rotating our work a bit to work around the row ends of the Tunisian slip stitch rows, Tunisian simple stitch rows of the butterfly wing. First, we're going to chain 3, and working in the back bumps of those chains, we're going to skip the first back bump, insert in the second to pull up a loop. So we're just doing just a few Tunisian stitches here, and in the back bump of that next chain, pull up a loop. And then in the row end, the first row of our Tunisian part, in those 2 loops at the end, insert and pull up. So we have 4 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, 3 times. And then we're going to make a double crochet back in that same stitch at the end of the row. Chain 2, single crochet in that next row end, chain 2, 2 double crochet in that next, chain 2, single crochet in that next row, chain 2, 2 double crochet in the next, chain 2. Okay, and then in the last row of the Tunisian part, we're going to place a single crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and chain 1. Okay, and so if I lay this the proper way, you can see how we've worked almost all the way around the butterfly. We just need to do this final edging. While we do, we're going to attach this tip corner to that last marker that we have in place, or our last yellow marker. But again, I'm going to rotate my work. Again, almost that it's facing down, still right side, but facing towards us. So around that marked single crochet, again, we're going to make that front post slip stitch. And we can remove the marker. And then working in these edge stitches again, we want to single crochet. We'll place actually 2 single crochet, but again, we need to find that chain, that marked chain. So I'm just finding from the back here. So we're pulling that to the front side, and we want to work towards the butterfly side of that single crochet that's already there. So insert under that chain 7 to pull up our loop. Finish a single crochet. Now I stretched my loop there. I'm going to do that once more. There we go. So 2 single crochet in that same stitch and under that chain 7. 1 single crochet in each of the next 3. Inserting hook under that same chain space as well. 1, 2, 3, 3. Now if it feels like it's getting a bit tight there, I'm just going to remove that stitch marker because I can now find that chain 7 since I have the other stitches there. And then without working around the chain, we're going to work a single crochet in this last slip stitch that was made in that chain 4. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky. We'll do a chain 2, which is the easy part. Remove the hook from the loop. I've stretched my loop a little bit longer. I want to insert my hook from the back to the front in that space under those single crochet that we just worked. We want to pull this loop to the back side, and then I'm also going to bring that working yarn through just a bit, put the loop back on. And I need to see here which, so this is my string that's attached to my hook, so I want to keep that there, pull some extra length of the working yarn through to the back. So looking at this wrong side now, we see our marked single crochet. We're going to place a slip stitch in that single crochet. Chain 3. This chain 3 is the start of the chain mesh, the first chain 7. So again, I'm going to leave my hook there. Looking back at the right side, I need to pull this working yarn back to the front under that hole there. So it comes in that space just by that front post slip stitch where we attach the tip. We're going to just pull it around the edge to the back so we can make another chain. So that's the 4th chain of our chain 7. Now that chain does end up being connected like a slip stitch around that front post slip stitch. And then we'll chain 3 again. So now we have a chain 3, that one chain worked around the slip stitch, and another chain 3. 3 plus 1 plus 3, that's our first chain 7. And then we're ready to start in this next chain space to work our single crochet. But what we want to make sure we do is that we pull that chain space to the back behind row 47 and make our single crochet. Now before we continue on, let's stop and take a look at what we worked. So we have our butterfly attached. We have connected the tips, worked our edging around the butterfly. And now we're ready to continue with the mesh. We've made the first chain 7. There's going to be a set of 4. So it would be chain 7, and finding that next chain space, pull it to the back under round 47 to make our single crochet. Repeat, chain 7, find that next space, pull to the back, single crochet, and one more, chain 7. That next space, pull to the back, single crochet. So with our starting 3 plus 1 plus 3, we now have 4 chain 7 loops. And then continuing in much the same way we have before, we'll do chain 6. Again, pulling that chain to the back for our single crochet. That's once. We'll do that 4 times. chain 6, single crochet twice. Three times. Four times. If you lose your count, you can always go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 6. So now our next repeat is chain 5, single crochet in that next chain space, pull to the back. And we'll do that 4 times. So after you've done the 4 chain 5 single crochet, you'll do 4 more chain 6 single crochet, and then 3 more chain 7 and single crochet. So from our butterfly, we worked that first chain 7, which is 3 plus 1 plus 3. Then we had 3 more for a total of 4 chain 7. 4 chain 6 with those single crochets, 4 chain 5, single crochet in each of the next loops. 4 chain 6, 3 chain 7s, and we're just before that next butterfly where we will chain 7 once more. And then we want to place that single crochet in that chain, and again brought behind the chain 7, round 47. And we want to mark that single crochet, and then you're ready to start working around the butterfly again as we did before. So just a note here, it took me 2 or 3 times, perhaps more like 4 or 5 times, working around the butterfly to get the placement properly and my stitches in the right way. So it's okay to take your time on this round and work carefully around these butterflies, but it is also important to remember yours doesn't have to look exactly the same where we've attached those front corners, but we've worked nicely, a nice edge around the butterfly. So you can go ahead and work that all the way around and joining 2 our starting single crochet at the end of the round, but I'll meet you there. So once you've worked your way all the way around, our last chain 7 will join to our starting single crochet where we still have that stitch marker, and you can remove any stitch markers at this point. Just want to show you the corner stitches are counted as that single crochet and the slip stitch we made into it. These 2 chains, chain 2 plus this third chain 2 is considered our corner stitches. Round 49, we're using color B. We were going to be making the top set of wings on this round. So we want to find in row 47, so that's our matching color, color B row, that last chain 7 space before the butterfly, and we'll place a single crochet in that space. So we're going to be pulling up loops as we did for our first set of wings to make them in the Tunisian simple stitch. So we want to find the top edging of our wing, that first single crochet. So there's 2 single crochet wrapped around the double crochet. So in that very first single crochet, we'll insert our hook in the back loop, and we want our hook to go under that same chain 7 space where we made our starting single crochet. So we pull a loop under that chain 7 and through that back loop. We have 2 loops on our hook. In the next 7 single crochet, we'll work in the back loop only to insert our hook, and we'll pull up a loop. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which should give us 9 loops on our hook. We're going to skip this last single crochet. And then we want to find that body of the butterfly that we made in round 43. So we have used this chain here. We're going to skip 2. So it's 1 and 2. So in this next chain, we want that back loop of that chain plus the loop behind it on the body. Pull up a loop there for 10 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops 9 times. So that's once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so not working on this edge loop, but starting in this next loop, we insert under that vertical bar, yarn over, pull up a loop 8 times. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There should be 9 loops on our hook. And then in the same stitch on the butterfly body, we want to insert under those same 2 loops and pull up 1 more loop for 10 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. That was twice, 3, 8, and 9. We'll repeat that in that vertical loop, not the edge loop. That next one, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In that same stitch on the body of the butterfly, pull up our 10th loop, yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. Row 4, 5, 6, and 7 are going to be worked in the same way. We want to make a chain 1 first, and then starting with this first edge loop, we will insert to pull up our first loop, and in each of the next 8. 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8, and we will not connect to the butterfly. We should have 10 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. And then we'll repeat that 3 more times. Chain 1, insert under this side edge, and in each of the next 8 stitches to pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. So that's row 5 of our Tunisian simple stitch. Chain 1, insert under the edge loop, and pull up a loop in each of the next 8. yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. And one more row, chain 1, insert on the edge loop to pull up a loop, and in the next 8. Ten loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. So we should have 7 rows of Tunisian crochet. 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7. Chain 1. In this very first loop again, we want to make a slip stitch, and in each of the next 8. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So we're going to chain 1, so this is our row 7. We want to skip this last vertical bar of that row, and then in that next row, this loop we already used, it's this side edge right here, and make a slip stitch. Chain 1, skip that bar in the side edge, make a slip stitch and chain 1. Make another slip stitch in the next row for 3 times. And then in that edge there, chain 1, and then on the butterfly body, slip stitch in that same stitch where we've already pulled up a few loops. And then we'll chain 2, which goes behind the body of the butterfly, and that's considered our new corner. Then we're going to work on the butterfly. We want to skip the next 3 chains. So we've worked in this one here, so we skip 1 2 3. In this next chain, we are going to use that back loop and the bump on the back. But we'll start by inserting through that extra loop on the back first and through that back loop. So we've skipped 3 on the body, and I'm in that 4th one up. Okay, and that should be straight across from our other part of the wing. And then working across the top of the next wing, in each of these first 8 single crochet, be careful to get this first one, we'll pull up a loop. 1 2, and I'm just trying to keep those loops fairly snug. 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. And then in this last single crochet, we insert in that back loop, and then we need to find, down on row 47, this next chain 7 loop behind the butterfly. We insert under there as well, pull through for our last loop. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 loops on our hook. Now this time for our return pass, we do want to yarn over, pull through 1, which equals a chain 1. And then we'll yarn over, pull through 2 loops 7 times. So that's 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7. We should have 3 loops left on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops. And that's our first row of Tunisian on the second wing. And then we want to slip stitch in those same 2 loops on the back of the body. Okay, so if you noticed, I entered from the wrong side to the right side on that slip stitch and then turn my work back around. Okay, we're going to pull up a stitch in this last one here, and there was 2 vertical loops. We want to take the one that's farthest away from where I am. The first one is a bit tricky to see anyways, right in there. So it says farther one, we insert, pull up a loop. And then in each of the next 8 loops, insert, pull up a loop. 1, 2. Seven, and this last one's a little bit tricky to see. It's 8, so we should have 10 loops on our hook. And then same thing, we yarn over, pull through 1 for a chain 1, then yarn over, pull through 2 7 times. So that's 2, 3, 6, and 7, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Again, slip stitch in that same 2 loops, turning to the back side. So the hook goes from wrong to right. Make that slip stitch and turn your work back. Okay, and then depending on how your yarn worked for that chain, this first loop is hidden. We want it, it's sort of on a bit of a diagonal there. That's our first loop to pull up, and then in each of the next 8. 1, 2, 3. Seven, and then the 8th one is that part of that chain. Chain 2. Now this time we will do the return pass as we had previously. Yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. Eight and 9. So rows 4, 5, 6, and 7 of this part of the wing will be made in the same way. We're not going to use that first loop, but in each of the next 2, we insert our hook under those to pull up a loop. And then under each of the next 6 loops, we'll insert and pull up a loop. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we've reached these chains that we did last round. So we want this first one coming out, and then this next one. This next one is part of the return pass, which will be hidden behind the loops. So in the chain, pull up a loop, and in this next chain, and pull up a loop. And then we'll work that chain 2 again. 1 and 2, yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. So that was row 4, row 5. Same way, insert under those next 2 loops. Okay, and that by doing under 2 loops, it makes a bit of a decrease, so we'll get that angle shape to our wing. Next 6, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in that next chain and the next chain to pull up our loop. 10 loops on our hook, yarn over and do those 2 chains, yarn over, pull through 2 9 times. Row 6, the same way. Chain 2. And row 7. Chain 2. We want to do that bind off row or that slip stitch row across the top. So the first one we'll insert under both of those next 2 loops, pull the loop up and through the loop on our hook for the first slip stitch. And 6 more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we'll slip stitch in each of those 2 chain. This time we want to make sure our hook goes under 2 of the loops to make a nice edge. So we chain 1, slip stitch in that same chain, chain 1, slip stitch in the next, trying to get 2 loops if you can. We'll do that 5 times. That was 1, chain 1, slip stitch twice, chain 1, slip stitch 3 times, chain 1, slip, that's 4, chain 1, slip stitch, that's 5. And then back behind, or just in that chain 7 of round 47 where we started the wing with a single crochet, we're going to place a second single crochet. So we have those 2 wings. We'll chain 7, single crochet in this next chain 7 space, working in front of round 48. So we'll do that 3 times. So chain 7, single crochet for twice, chain 7, single crochet for 3 times. And then working our chain loops in the same way as we have before, we will do chain 6 single crochet in the next chain space 4 times, chain 5 single crochet in the next chain space 4 times, and then back to chain 6 in a single crochet 4 times, chain 7, single crochet just 2 times, and I'll meet you at that spot. So we've worked 3 chain 7s, 4 chain 6, 4 chain 5, 4 chain 6, and the 2 chain 7. Then we will chain 7 one more time. And then we're ready to start our repeat again, but with a single crochet in that next chain 7 space. And then starting to work our wings around the top of the butterfly. So go ahead and work that all the way around, joining to our starting stitch and fastening off at the end of the round. So when you finished up your last side, you will just join to that starting single crochet in the chain 7 space before the butterfly and fasten off. So round 50, it's our final round for part 6. We're going to use color E. We'll be working the edging around the top wings as well as continuing the mesh on the sides. So we're going to start in round 48, so that's my matching color round. There's 2 chain 7 behind. That first one was that one was 3 plus 1 plus 3. We'll be skipping both of those. For right now, we're skipping the one behind, and then working in this next chain 7, we want to bring that chain 7 to the front though underneath round 49. Single crochet in that chain 7 space to start. And then looking on the bottom wing here, we want to single crochet in this first single crochet. We pulled up a loop in the back loop for the top butterfly, but we want our hook to insert under both of those loops to place a single crochet. Then we'll make a picot 3 with a side close, so we chain 3, insert our hook in that front loop of the single crochet we just made, and that first side leg. Yarn over, pull through and through the loop on our hook for that slip stitch to close the picot. So working up the side of the butterfly here, we will place a single crochet in the end of this first row of Tunisian crochet. And then in the next row end, we will single crochet and make that picot, side finishing, so slip stitch in the top loop inside of the single crochet. Single crochet in the next row end, so that's the 3rd row of Tunisian simple stitch. And then in the 4th row, single crochet and make the picot. And now we'll skip that chain 1, and in the next row end we'll place a single crochet. Skip the chain 1, and in the next row end we'll single crochet, so that's the 6th row of Tunisian simple stitch. Make the picot. Chain 1. Then again, we'll skip that chain and the stitch worked in the end of the 7th row. And that chain 1 space, that's sort of hidden here. And then right on the tip of the wing is that first slip stitch. So we want to insert in there. If that's a little tight for you to get your hook through, You can go ahead and use your smaller hook or one with a sharper point to insert. So we'll make the single crochet in that tip slip stitch, the chain 3 side closing picot, chain 1, and single crochet. And then working in these next 7 stitches, we'll place a single crochet. So we're working across the top of the wing now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 single crochet. And then in this last single crochet of the top edge, we're going to place 2 single crochet. We're in that last bind off slip stitch. So now working down this third edge, or the inside edge, there'll be a few times where we need to skip the chain 1, like here, and we're working into the slip stitch. We'll make 2 single crochet. Skip the chain 1, 2 single crochet in the next. But then these next 3 are slip stitches that we'll just place 2 single crochet in each of those. And the last one is in the slip stitch made in the body of the butterfly, 2 single crochet. Okay, so there should be a total of, from this last 2 single crochet on the side, working down this edge, there should be 5 groups of 2 single crochet for a total of 10 single crochet. So we're going to chain 1. Then we want to slip stitch in the top of the body just before where the antennae begin. So on the back, we just want our hook to go under 2 loops. It doesn't really matter which 2 loops. You want it close to where the antennae start, right here. And then just double check that you don't see that on the front side of the body. And then we also want our hook to go under that chain 2 from last round, between the tops of the wings. We're going to make a tight slip stitch. So pull it through and then pull it tight. And then again, double check that it doesn't buckle. And then what this does, you will see how it kind of buckles or rounds up. That makes the head
for the butterfly.
Then we'll chain 1. So now we want to make a single crochet in that slip stitch that's joined to the body. So this is at the top of the next wing. And then the first stitch along the edge of the body, we'll place a single crochet, and then 2 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. Or these are the edges of the Tunisian rose. That's 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so then at the top side of the wing in this first stitch, we will place 2 single crochet and then 1 single crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 6, and 7. Chain 1. In this next chain 1, we are going to place a single crochet, picot, and a single crochet in that same chain 1. So any chain 1s, we're going to skip, working in this next slip stitch. We will single crochet, work a picot, single crochet, skip the chain 1, single crochet in the next slip stitch, and repeat. Skip a chain 1, single crochet in the next slip stitch, picot, skip a chain 1, single crochet in the slip stitch, skip a chain 1, single crochet in that next slip stitch, picot, and then in the last slip stitch, we'll single crochet. And then we want to make a single crochet again in the tip of the bottom wing in that first single crochet under both loops where we had already picked up a loop in that back loop. So under both loops of the first single crochet, or that end single crochet of that bottom wing, place our last single crochet.
Make a picot.
So that's our edging, worked all the way around the butterfly with a little head created. So then after the butterfly, we had made these 2 single crochet in that one loop. So this is round 49. We want to slip stitch in that second single crochet, chain 3. And then in this next chain space of round 48, we're pulling it to the front in front of last round. We'll place a single crochet, chain 7, find that next chain space of round 48, pull to the front for our single crochet, repeat, chain 7, pull that chain to the front for a single crochet. So after the butterfly, we made that chain 3 behind, then we have 2 chain 7 spaces. Now we'll continue with the mesh. So now we'll chain 6, find that next chain, single crochet, 2 more times, chain 6, finding that next chain, single crochet, and 1 last chain 6, and single crochet. So that was 3 chain 6. Now we'll chain 5, single crochet in that next chain of round 48, and we want to do that 7 times. So that's 1, chain 5, twice, 3 times, 4 times, that was 5 times, 6, and 7 chain 5 single crochet. Then we'll chain 6 again, and single crochet for 3 times. Chain 6, single crochet, that's twice, chain 6, single crochet, that's 3 times, and then we'll chain 7, single crochet in that next chain, and then chain 7 again, and then we start the round again. In that next chain space, we have our starting single crochet ready to work our edging around the butterfly. So you can repeat that all the way around again, joining to our starting stitch and fastening off at the end of the round to finish this part.